slow, steady,
keep it warm. A place where we pause and look again. Here, truth does not shout.
it speaks,
Reality does not hide.
reflect
We examine the world
our choices.
and ourselves.
This mirror
Shows what is
not what will be.
soft eye.
Gigi.
Hi, welcome to Ocean's Mirror. So today, as you know, I'm covering the Monduro and what's going on with Venezuela. I'm liking that how the Venezuelans are actually coming to my channel and actually putting in their opinion on what's going on, as well as other people, because then it gives you a clear. Then they give you what's on the ground. But today, I have also seen that one of the expats, Ace, has spoken up about it. There's been quite a lot of people that's spoken about what's going on with Venezuela at present. As you know, that how Maduro himself, he had a hearing yesterday. Him and his wife, I mean, they found him not guilty, but his son and others are saying that how he needs to be brought back to Venezuela. They did do an indictment on him as well. I should find the indictment one, because they did a whole there was a paperwork on it as well. And she obviously when she, I think the Monduro's wife was in prison, they said that how she came out with injuries. Now my thing is that how those as facial injuries. Now I'm thinking, did they beat her up while she was in the prison or whatever? You know, treat her rough. You know, fair enough. If there is something there, I mean, what, like, you know, she has a right as well as any other human being to not be shoved around or whatever they did to her, because they said that she had injuries on her face. They said that how he seemed okay, he answered, he greeted everybody in the court, and he you know, he interacted, you know, obviously translators, all that stuff. Quite a few news places did cover the hearing. Some was a bit clickbaity. Yes, there was a lot of clickbaits where, like, I thought they was going to show the hearing, a little bit of the hearing, but I think because it's political as well, that's why they're not showing a lot of it. They're just showing sketch pictures or whatever. You know, so I think, so, like, for me, like others like me who don't want to go and look in places, because I don't want to go and look in places. I don't feel the need why I need to do all that. I just feel that how it's quite straightforward what's going on. I think anyway. Even Ace, the expat, the YouTuber, explains it as well. There's one YouTuber, he explains about the regime. That's the one I really want to pull up as well. How there's going to be a change of regime in Venezuela and how it's going to affect the people there. So if I can find it, I hope I can find it, because I think the guy that I tap into a lot, he has quite a lot of information. Oh yeah, and also Trinidad and Tobago is also giving in their opinion on what's going on as well. So I got So I don't know. Hopefully it won't go. It won't be a very long live. I'm hoping not, but I'm gonna add some tidbits in there because there is some people that's going to be affected by what's happened, isn't it? So let me add my friend here. Is it coming? What's going on? I think he just made videos. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put up my friend here because Trinidad. His name's Trinidad Network. What I like about him, he does this thing where he counts down and he explains each individual phase of how things is going to happen. And sometimes, right, people need to understand how this is going to affect the people in Venezuela as much as, right, as Ace puts it, globally, because Guyana and other countries. Now, Trump did say that how the next place he might hit might be Colombia, might be Cuba, and all that, which is really crazy because there's already an embargo on Cuba already, and I'm thinking he wants to put an embargo on Venezuela. So and I might just cover the history of some of Venezuela because I find it really interesting. Um, I do know about Hugo Chavez. I know about him as well. So it's there's a lot of fragments to this whole thing. You know what I mean? It's political as well as materials, all that stuff added in. So let me put my friend. I call him my friend because I just think he's a cool dude, isn't it? Okay, so what he's doing, he's talking about the regime now that Maduro is not there and what's going to happen. So I'm going to play it.
So another reason why I wanted to wait and see how all of this transpires. So let's be clear here, Ten. This is not collapse, what we're seeing in Venezuela. This is information warfare. This is conflicting narratives.
Yeah.
This is deliberate confusion, psychological pressure, designed to almost declare victory before reality has indeed settled. And one fact cut through the noise for me. If the vice president is exercising authority like Donald Trump said, then the Venezuelan state still exists. The command structure still exists. The institution still function and exists. And that alone tells you this is not regime change, regardless of what you have been told. No regime changes happen. Now let's address the narrative spreading in Trinidad and Tobago, because this is indeed Trinidad Empowerment Network. The idea that what's happening in Venezuela somehow benefits us in Trinidad and Tobago, that regime change is underway. I reminded you a second ago that regime change has not happened. Somehow people magically believe that this will revive the Dragon's gas deal and save our energy sector.
Which is not the case. And I like it because what he's doing, he's including Trinidad into this because I feel definitely, for sure, Camilla has bitten off more than she can chew. And I definitely, for sure, thinks that how she thinks this is a change for good and all this and it's change and yeah. as the trials happen, and he's not found guilty anyway. So there is a lot of misconception, and I like how the reason why I waited. I also put it on this channel as well. He said he didn't want to give misinformation to the people, and this is the reason why I'm putting his channel out, Trinidad Empowerment Network. He is very, very, very versed in a lot of things, and he really breaks it down to a T note, a tea bag, however. And I was quite curious in how this regime is going to go, because like they're saying, because as you know, Donald Trump was trying to badger the lady that's installed in Venezuela right now, and she kind of kicked back. She said that she wants Maduro back in the country to be the president. You know what I mean? She wants him to lead. So,
Do me a favor. That belief is not strategic thinking. It is indeed wishful thinking built on a complete and utter misunderstanding. So let me break this down. Let me dissect. Let's clear up the biggest misconception here, 10. Regime change has not happened in Venezuela. I say it again, regime change has not happened in Venezuela. At most, and I mean at most, we are seeing pressure on one individual, Nicolas Maduro. Trump has got his way. A cheap win. But a leader is not a regime. A regime is the military. A regime is the court system. A regime is the state oil company, the institutions that actually run the country. That is the regime. That has not changed. Remove one man and you get disruption. You get cheap headlines worldwide. You do not get transformation.
and that's what I said the other day. Like, yeah, he thinks that by removing Maduro, yeah, everything's gonna be sweet and nice, and there's probably guerrillas in the background waiting to rise up right now, right? Right. Basically, that's what happens when there's a breakdown of stuff in a country and the leader's not there. All hell breaks loose, and that's that's what I believe. Trump thinks, oh yeah, like I said, Trump thinks he got rid of Maduro. Oh yeah, problem solved. We sorted the drug problem out. We sorted the human trafficking out. We sorted this out. We sorted that. No, it don't go like that. It really doesn't. And I think I did say that in my last live about Venezuela. And look, somebody else come and echo the same thing.
That has not happened. So if anyone has celebrated this as a victory, understand this clearly. If that was the objective, this is a cheap, temporary moment in history. This is not regime change. What we are seeing is not regime change. I cannot make this any clearer. I know the 10 audience don't believe this. Now let's answer the key question honestly. How likely is a real regime change in Venezuela right now? How likely is it to happen? The short answer is low. Very, very low. For regime change to actually occur, 3 things must happen at the same time. Number 1, the military must withdraw loyalty. The military must withdraw loyalty. Number 1, the state bureaucracy must fracture, meaning the PDVSA, the courts, the ministry, they must fracture. And number 3, the opposition must present a unified, credible alternative with external backing. None of this has happened. None of those conditions exist today. In fact, I will argue that the opposite is happening right now in Venezuela. External pressure, I remind you, external pressure tightens military loyalty. Historical fact, the opposition remains fragmented and discredited. And of course, Russia China, and Iran now have more incentive, not less, to keep the system intact. Objectively speaking, regime change is less likely now, I would argue, than it was 5 years ago. Let's move on. And I want to address something people keep invoking. You see this all over the news, whether it be CNN or whoever. International law. International law. Let's be honest again. If international law actually restrained great powers, and I say great powers, this would not be happening right now. There is no neutral referee in this. There is no enforcement mechanism in this. There is no states, international law, when it aligns with the American interest. Great powers, politicians or commentators quote international law. Understand what you are really hearing. It's performative language. It is not reality. Power decides. Power decides in this game. Everything else is noise and decoration. Everything else is noise. The United States could care less about international law. Forget it. They are great power. That's who they are. That leads us to another serious legal question people are also asking. I'm addressing a lot of things here today, Is attacking a sovereign nation and abducting, or kidnapping, some may say, abducting its leader a war crime? Under normal circumstances, of course it is. Yes, of course it is. This is a violation of sovereignty. What is the point of sovereignty? This is a clear violation of sovereignty. It is a use of force without authorization. This is what's happened. And it would be illegal if done by almost any other country on the planet. The US Constitution gives war-making power to Congress, not the president. If Congress did not authorize this, then this action sits in a legal gray area, unconstitutional at worst. As for the soldiers involved, responsibility does not sit with them necessarily. It flows upwards to the commanders, to the political leaders. But I remind you, accountability never follows because the United States does not recognize any court system. Any international court system that could enforce it. Let's play devil's advocate here. Let's assume the unlikely. Just to be generous, let's assume the unlikely. Let's assume a new Venezuelan government eventually takes power in Venezuela. Even then, I would argue, nothing happens automatically. Nothing happens automatically. And this is where, for me, the Dragon's gas fantasy completely collapses. Would Dragon's gas return under a new government in Venezuela? Would the Dragon's gas deal return under a new government in Venezuela? Let's bring it back to Trinidad. Possibly, but not anytime soon. That's for sure. And certainly not on Trinidad's term. Certainly not on our term. What would improve is permission. Sanctions could become easy, may normalize. Now that creates access, not outcomes. That create access, not outcomes. Gas does not flow overnight. That's not going to happen. Contracts do not revive instantly. That's not going to happen. We need to stop living in a fantasy. And Trinidad does not suddenly become a priority for anyone. Trinidad is not a priority here. A new Venezuelan government would face economic collapse almost instantly. IMF negotiation, debt restructuring, and possibly domestic instability. Their priority would be survival, not Trinidad. Trinidad would be we have to join the queue and we will be right at the back of the list. I remind you, Delcy Rodriguez is no fan of our prime minister. I remind you. So even under a friendly Venezuelan government, Trinidad faces three really difficult realities. We face competition, we face potential renegotiation, and of course, the one thing that's most important in all of this is time. The best case scenario here, 5 years. 5 years or more. Trinidad's energy decline does not have 5 years, regardless of what anyone says to you. And now the part nobody wants to admit. Stay with me to the end, 10. I'm cooking. Trinidad has nothing of strategic value to offer the United States. We have nothing to offer. We trade with America at a deficit. We lose money in that relationship. We lose money trading with America. We are not leverage. We are not a priority. We are a small island, a small island hoping geopolitics save us. And I'm here to remind you, it would not. I also need to say something to those celebrating in the streets of Venezuela, the diaspora as well. I understand the emotion, but emotion is not history. People also celebrated in the streets of Iraq when Saddam Hussein was captured.
The UK's biggest used car sale is back with over 20,000 used cars on sale.
There was hope, I remind you. There was cheers, I remind you. Being a leader without rebuilding a state does not bring stability. In fact, it does the opposite. It brings chaos. It brings fragmentation. It brings long-term suffering. And of course, now we hear promises again. Promises from the President of America. Promises that Venezuela will be made rich.
We are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about.
Do me a favor. The same country that cannot fix its own social collapse, its own infrastructure decay, its own health crisis or political division is now promising prosperity in Venezuela. I mean, what is going on here? The United States did not build or rebuild Iraq. The United States did not rebuild Libya. The United States did not rebuild Afghanistan. So why on earth would anyone believe that the United States would rebuild Venezuela? This is not liberation. This is not liberation. This is a salesmanship after destruction. This is all this is. We've seen this playbook before. And I want to end on this. I want to look at what's happening globally. You've seen the protests by now, breaking out from Spain to New York in the United States. People recognize this moment for what it is. People recognize this moment for what it is. This is modern day colonialism before our very eyes, updated for the digital age, updated for our time. This is not strength. This is thuggery with a social media manager, a president who ignores Congress, a president who violates democratic norms and then brags about it online. This is not projecting power. This is advertising lawlessness. This isn't leadership, 10. This is strongman cosplay, governing like a bully with a badge. Woo! 10. Let's talk about the cheerleaders. Let's finish on the cheerleaders. Those who once lectured the world about civility, are now applauding authoritarian behavior because power feels righteous when it's on their side. And anyone who trades moral authority for proximity to power should remember this. History is not kind to collaborators. History has never been kind to collaborators. Our Prime Minister. This isn't America first. It's democracy last. And history never forgets who stood with the demagogue, whilst the rule of law was treated like a joke. And who had the courage, I remind you, to say, this is wrong, even when it felt uncomfortable. Empires fall when restraint disappears. Democracies die when abuse is normalized. This, 10, I would finish on this. This is not strength. This is indeed a warning, and we have to take heed. And this is how I would like to end today's video. I've said enough on this.
Yeah, yeah. I do see levels of that happening, because after when Nicolas Maduro got taken down, there was people on the road. I think it was, I don't know whether it was half, like all over Venezuela, but in the road there was people shooting at people. It was like, it happened very quickly. But then, like I said, there is mixed thoughts on him getting taken down, because I feel that people see that, one, is not in their best interest. Two, I feel that especially the Trinidadian Prime Minister, she's really missed the mark on this one, because she thinks it's for the good, and it's not. Right now, I'm going to switch to how Maduro affects Trinidad, how him getting taken affects Trinidad. Right, let me put him up. This is Chan. So right now I'm just putting up a few information before I get into the commentary part a little more. Oops.
Has hold the government accountable, but to me, the opposition hasn't done as much, right? The opposition hasn't done as much as they should have. There's a lot of divide between the people of Trinidad and Tobago, however, right? Some people are for Maduro being captured, some people are against it. Some people are for America wanting to take over Venezuela. A lot of people are against it.
Okay, so I mean, Trinidad, as we know, has supported the U.S. military action against alleged drug boats in the Caribbean, and it's allowed the U.S. to establish a radar base and fly military aircraft into and out of the main airport. But not all Caribbean nations, Ryan, are happy with Trinidad. Is this likely to cause isolation from Trinidad's regional neighbors, do you think?
Yes, it will. Trinidad and Tobago being apart from CARICOM is never a good thing in my eyes. And we as a region, CARICOM as a region, the Caribbean as a region, could only be stronger together. And that divide would only fracture not only Trinidad and Tobago, but other regional countries.
And it's worth pointing out that Trinidad is home to the largest Venezuelan diaspora in the Caribbean. What sort of response has there been to the capture of Maduro, and who do they want to see lead the country, Ryan?
Surprisingly, the Venezuelan diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago is very happy. They are celebrating. On Saturday, you could hear Venezuelans playing music and chanting. They are very joyous for Maduro's capture, which is very surprising for me, because the Americans taking control of their natural resources is very skeptical in my eyes. But the Venezuelans are happy about Maduro's capture.
Ryan, just a final thought to you. I mean, with President Trump saying the US will be running Venezuela and taking charge of its oil, what does all of this mean then for the broader Caribbean community and its relationship with Washington and Venezuela going forward?
Well, the Americans taking control of the Venezuelan oil, in my idea, is not a good thing. And it is not a good thing for the wider Caribbean. Venezuela is a sovereign nation, and another country coming into a a country, a nation as Venezuela and taking over their natural resources could never be a great thing. Trinidad and Tobago has the same natural resources as Venezuela, and it is very concerning to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Ryan Chance-Bascom, really good to get your thoughts on this, Ryan. Many thanks for your time. Thank you.
So people from the ground is speaking from Trinidad as well, speaking their opinion on how this is going to affect them. And Chan literally has been going in on Kamala, I would say her name wrong, Kamala's actions, because it doesn't hold. It's not good for what is going on. But I'm going to also add another Trinidadian's opinion on Maduro's removal. So I'm putting in opinions from Trinidad, because Venezuelans live there, like he said, and I want people to hear the Trinidadians' opinions on this and how they feel it affects them. And then we're going to go to the hearing.
Given the escalation of events in Venezuela at this time?
Okay. No, the thing is, it's too early to comment on that, but the world moves on, right? You will find, over time, everything will settle down. As they say, this too shall pass. I've seen the fall of the Berlin Wall, seen the first black president in America. I've seen a lot, Let's wait and see,
His view was echoed by a motorist in Port of Spain.
Well, time will tell. Time will tell everything went on in this place.
However, some members of the public are unable to adopt a nonchalant attitude.
I think at present, based on what taking place and the uncertainties the public are trying to, they don't already know what taking place. The government has a responsibility to have a press conference to inform, right, the public of Trinidad and Tobago, so they wouldn't panic and bring some kind of release or some kind of assurance to the public of Trinidad and Tobago. Right now, we are feeling vulnerable, right? CARICOM is upset, right? The Latin America is upset, right? The public is feeling vulnerable. This is not good at all. Sorry to say.
And while Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar had posted on X that TNT is not a participant in the ongoing military operations, some believe that by supporting the U.S. in its bombing of suspected drug boats, this country has opened itself up to any possibility.
It's a kidnapping because it's a sovereign state where the U.S. went into. No one has made the U.S. the police of any state or anything like that. And I don't agree with what has happened, how it has happened. And I think it's open aggression. That's me. And I think it's something that could have been done better. And if we as a Caribbean community are actually witnessing this and supporting this, I say then we are open for any kind of thing that's coming to us. And I'm very clear about that. And I make no apologies in saying that. Maybe I'll lose a visa I never had, but hey, that's part of the thing.
Meantime, the TNT Police Service moved to block access to areas in the capital city housing key agencies.
So I'm standing at the corners of Richmond and Sackville Streets in Port of Spain. And right behind me, you can see the Parliament building and the TTPS admin building. Now, this is just one of the areas that have been blocked off by police to vehicular traffic in downtown Port of Spain. At this time, however, there has been no formal notification from any authority as to why the action was taken.
In a subsequent release, the TTPS indicated that it had implemented a series of precautionary operational measures to ensure the continued safety and security of the nation. but made no direct mention of the closure of thoroughfares or when regular traffic will resume. Commissioner of Police Alistair Guevara emphasized that the TTPS will keep the situation under constant review and update the public accordingly, and referenced the colloquial saying, "When your neighbor's house is on fire, the prudent thing is to wet yours." Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
Right, so that's the people from the ground, because CARICOM was mentioned a lot in a few of the things what I pulled up last Sunday, I think it was, where CARICOM was mentioned because it would affect like Guyana, Barbados, I think Jamaica's on that list. It would affect quite a few Caribbean countries as well because of what's happened. I mean, the Venezuelans obviously might even go back to Venezuela, which was said earlier. So there's that one as well. Let me see if I can pull up I'm just putting up numbers of things that I've been looking at, because it all correlates with the same thing. Now, I want to go to Ace the expat, because he puts in his contribution to how the oil situation is going to how America getting Venezuela, how it will make the oil cheap in America, and how it will affect America, like, because the oil prices is high in America right now. So he's going to explain a little bit. I'm going to try and get it to that point where he explains about the oil and how it will be made cheaper due to the situation that's in Venezuela. Let me see, I can get it to there too, because like I said, it's all been about oil and materials. That's the whole thing. I have put up a post which explains that when a country takes over, that how it destroys the country, and that. So let me see if I can get to the part where he explains about the oil, because he explains about the oil. He gives a good example of how it kind of helps America in a kind of way by them getting the oil from Venezuela and how pure it is, which was mentioned which I've done in other lives. So I'm not going to go over it again. I'm just going to if you go back to other lives where I have gone in, I mean, this one's kind of light right now, but I want to also get to the hearing. That's why I'm doing it like this. Right, so let me get to Ace. Right.
Until they see in the back end if they don't agree with what's happening with their resources. Some may argue the U.S. involvement in Venezuela is only about the oil, and that argument is hard to ignore. Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserve in the world. Greater access to oil leads to lower energy prices, which can affect consumers in the United States and globally. Lower energy costs can reduce transportation and production expenses, which has a ripple effect to the economy. At the same time, if this goes through, there are some geopolitical consequences. And then you have the other nations in the region may question whether similar consequences will happen to them.
Have you considered talking to the president of Colombia, who you call a drug leader?
No, I haven't really thought too much about him. He's been fairly hostile to the United States. I haven't given him a lot of thought. He's going to have himself some big problems if he doesn't wise up. Colombia is producing a lot of drugs. They have cocaine factories that they make cocaine, as you know, and they sell it right into the United States. So he better wise up, or he'll be next. He'll be next too. And I hope he's listening. He's going to be next.
This whole thing that's happening right now is bound to trigger some huge backlash internationally. So just think about it, guys. If we take over one huge country like Venezuela, what's stopping us from doing that for other countries like Panama or Colombia? I think it'll be a really hard thing to prove that they can take Colombia, but there might be more bombings in drug regions in Colombia. And that whole idea opens up a new Pandora box. The idea that if America would take over this huge region of Central South America, that they can empower these countries to be their new China. As I mentioned, I've been to Venezuela several times, and my overall experience living in that country for several months has what's very interesting. It's a country that learned to exist in a box per se through all the sanctions that were put on it that affected its economy. It still figured out a way to, the word wouldn't be thrive, but to exist. But walking through the streets of Venezuela is like walking through like everyday life in any other South American country. People have their technology stores, you have your grocery stores, you have your restaurants. Granted, when it comes to certain restaurants, their food might be limited because of the resources they can get into the country, but they still figure out a way to make it work. I say all that to say that I hope everything works out for Venezuela. There is a peaceful resolution. Whatever's the best for Venezuela happens. If America does come in and does something with the economy, I do see a lot of Venezuelans coming back and reinvesting money into their country. As long as they can feel that the government, whatever government that is put back into place, is a stable and honest government. Otherwise, history can repeat itself. I do see people going back to their country, reinvesting into their country. And those who left, as I mentioned, like in Colombia, Chile, Argentina, most likely if they don't have a stable life, because you're talking about people who left years ago, some of them have families married into the country in terms of married as citizens of the country. But if that's not the case, many of them are going to leave and come home. And that's going to affect a lot of the economy throughout South America. I mean, there was this whole issue about immigration, how much they don't like immigration in certain countries, but a lot of businesses have learned to hire for cheap labor, I have to say it, Venezuelans to keep things affordable. So if these Venezuelans leave and they go home, it's going to be crazy. Now, why would Venezuelans want to go home? If everything changes where there's no sanctions with America, this is hypothetically speaking, then here are a couple things that might change. Well, flights. Currently, if you want to fly to Venezuela from America, you can't. A plane from Venezuela, because of the sanctions, cannot touch American soil. So the in-between intermediate would be Panama. So people would fly to Panama if they have a visa. If you're a citizen or you're a citizen of Venezuela, you would fly to Panama, get on a Copa flight. I think there's other flights, but the Copa is the one that comes to mind. And then you can fly to Venezuela, unless you're coming from Europe. And I think that's a whole different airline you would take. If America takes away its sanctions, there's a chance that now there'll be more flights leaving from the United States, like Miami, Texas, stuff of that nature. We're talking about tourism. Tourism coming back to Venezuela is going to change its economy immensely because the country already has learned to live a certain way without the American dollar per se. If tourism comes in, there's going to be more opportunity for job growth, entrepreneurship. It's an interesting time right now if America takes over. But I understand that there might be some questions on the morality and what really is the purpose of this situation. Will it get to a point where Venezuelans are now being used for a different purpose? You tell me what you think I mean by that in terms. Yeah, I guess I just gonna leave it like that, guys. I wish Venezuela the best. I wish America the best. And I wish all parties involved the best. All right, thanks for watching. If there's more news that comes out of this video,
Okay, so that's Ace. that's been to Venezuela. He's traveled there numbers of times, and he's got a few videos up about Venezuela. And the thing that I want to go to now is the hearing part. Now I actually want to reach the hearing part, because this is the whole reason why I put on the live as well. And I also want to talk about Monduro's son as well, because people are trying to bring back Munduro back to the country, and they really want him back. So it's some of the comments in my comments also has indicated who is celebrating Munduro getting moved as well. So right now I'm going to put up a little bit of the hearing, right? Because it's like they're not really putting things out about the hearing. They're putting things out, but not really putting things out, basically. It's kind of interesting. I find it very interesting. But they did say that how, like I said, Monduro's wife had injuries on her face. And I'm thinking, why has she got injuries on her face? I mean, it's literally like a prisoner of war situation, a POW situation as well, because especially because he's been shipped, he's not being made to stand trial in his own country and all that. So I'm taking that on board. Also, they was putting out loads of clickbaity kind of little situations on YouTube as well as other places. I mean, fair enough, right? They do sketches of people in court and all that, which is fair. But I would have thought they would have shown it for whatever the reason. But what I'm gonna play this as well. Hopefully, it'll play very well.
I'm a prisoner of war, in the room for Maduro's dramatic court hearing. Watch what it was like in the courtroom at Maduro's hearing. The sound of clanking leg shackles could be heard moments before Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro walked through the doorway of a New York City courtroom for the first time. He then told packed rows of reporters and the public that he had just been kidnapped. Minutes after his entrance, the judge Alvin Hellerstein asked Maduro to confirm his identity so the proceedings could start. I am, Sir, Nicolas Maduro. I am President of the Republic of Venezuela and I am here kidnapped since January 3, wrote he told the court in a calm Spanish before an interpreter translated for the court. I was captured at my home in Caracas, Venezuela. The 92-year-old judge quickly interjected to tell Maduro that there would be a time and a place to get into all of this. During the dramatic 40-minute arraignment on Monday afternoon, Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, pleaded not guilty to drugs and weapon charges. I'm innocent. I'm a decent man, Maduro said, with Flores adding that she was completely innocent. The 63-year-old and his wife were transferred to a New York jail after they were arrested by U.S. forces at their compound in Venezuela on Saturday, as part of a surprise overnight operation that also saw strikes on military bases. Dressed in blue and orange jail shirts and khaki pants, the two wore headphones to listen to a Spanish translation during the hearing, an attorney sitting between them. Maduro took meticulous notes on a yellow legal pad that he asked a judge to confirm that he could keep with him after the hearing. Watch, Nicolas Maduro and wife en route to New York court. When Maduro walked into the room, the same federal courtroom where Sean Diddy Combs was tried and convicted just months earlier, he turned around to nod at several members of the audience and greet them. He maintained this calm and expressionless demeanor during the proceedings, even at the end, when a man watching from the public area suddenly shouted that Maduro would pay for his crimes. I'm a president and prisoner of war, he shouted towards the man in the audience in Spanish. The man was then escorted out of the room in tears. The proceedings were emotional for others in the court as well. Maybort Petty, a reporter from Venezuela who has covered Maduro's administration, said the U.S. missile strikes during Maduro's arrest damaged her family home near Fuerteana in Caracas. She said it was surreal to watch her former leader escorted into court in prison garb by U.S. Marshals. Maduro's wife, Flores, was much quieter, with bandages near her eyes and forehead for injuries her lawyers said she sustained during their weekend arrest. Celia Flores was earlier pictured being escorted by D personnel. Flores spoke softly with her blonde hair tied back in a bun while her lawyers asked that she be given proper medical treatment, including an X-ray of potentially bruised ribs and a fracture.
Bruised ribs?
Maduro and his wife did not seek bail during the proceedings, but can do so at a later date, meaning they will remain in federal custody. The U.S. has accused Maduro of narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. Maduro was indicted alongside his wife and his son, Nicolas Ernesto Maduro Guerra, who is still in Venezuela. The current and former interior ministers for Venezuela who oversaw the country's police forces, Diosdado Cabello Rondon and Raymond Rodriguez Chacin, have also been charged, as has Hector Rutherford Guerrero Flores, an alleged gang leader of Tren de Aragua. The U.S. is offering rewards for information leading to the arrests of Cabello Rondon and Guerrero Flores, who was charged in New York in December with racketeering, drug importation and other crimes. The next court hearing in Maduro's case has been scheduled for the 17th of March. Maduro and his wife were transported to and from court in an armored vehicle.
And it looked like something out of a movie. You know, one of those movies where they're transforming the prisoners. They transferred him to several cars as well. There was a lot of security near the court. A lot of security on the way there. Seems like it looks like. At first, it looked as though like they was gonna make people like show people talking. I think some of the press was there that was talking as well. One of the things I also wanted to also touch upon is his son. What the son? I think this is the son they didn't get. Because yesterday his son is saying that how he's gonna try and get his father out. Let me see. I think I'm hitting the wrong one. His son said, they was asking where he is as well. Let me see if I could find him. I don't know if this is. What's this? Oh, there's some weird things that pops up when you're looking through these type of news. So his son has made a plea as well. Maduro's other son, because like they said that they got the other sons. So this son is still in Venezuela. Let me see if I can get the, because they call him spoilt. Let me see if it's going to come up.
Home News World News. Home News World News. Published 1543 January 6, 2026 GMT. Maduro's only son the prince makes desperate plea to Venezuelans after dad's arrest. Nicolas Maduro was captured by the U.S. last week. Featured image credit, XNY/StarMax/GC Images. Topics: Politics, Crime, U.S. News. Callum Jones. Choose your content. 1. An hour ago. Hillary Duff's husband takes aim at Ashley Tisdale with savage message after she called out toxic mom group. 2. 2 hours ago. Little Mix star Jessie Nelson issues update after revealing twin girls' devastating SMA type 1 diagnosis. 3. 7 hours ago.
About the thing.
Donald Trump shares their impeachment fears if Republicans lose midterms. 4.
Oh, I don't know what's going on with that one. Okay, let me get another one because it's not getting to the point as usual. Always the way, isn't it? Let me see. Nicolas Maduro denounced his father's arrest. Oh, this was 4 hours ago. Right, hopefully he's not going to play about it. Always picks up other stuff.
Nicolas Maduro's son denounces father's arrest as kidnapping. Nicolas Maduro's son denounces father's arrest as kidnapping. The son of Nicolas Maduro expresses outrage over his father's arrest, labeling it as a kidnapping and calls for global support. The son of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has labeled his father's recent arrest as a kidnapping and is urging for international solidarity to support his family. In a charged statement recorded and shared through social media, he expressed deep emotional distress regarding the situation. Maduro's son, whose name is Nicolas Maduro Guerra, has been a vocal supporter of his father, who has faced significant international scrutiny and allegations of human rights violations during his tenure. The younger Maduro's declaration arrives in the wake of a turbulent political climate in Venezuela, amid ongoing calls for changes in leadership from both domestic and international actors. In the video, Maduro Guerra directly addresses his father, expressing a mixture of defiance and concern. "Dad, I tell you, you are not alone. We will fight for your freedom," he stated, emphasizing his commitment to their shared political beliefs. The Venezuelan government has been under increasing pressure from various countries following accusations of oppression and corruption. Nicolas Maduro has repeatedly denied these allegations, claiming they are part of a wider campaign led by foreign powers to destabilize the country. International observers have described Venezuela's political situation as increasingly precarious, with widespread protests and a significant exodus of citizens seeking refuge in neighboring countries. In this context, the arrest of Maduro has sparked a renewed debate about political repression in Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro Guerra's call for international assistance echoes sentiments expressed by numerous supporters of Maduro's government. They argue that external forces are interfering in Venezuela's sovereignty while undermining its government. The situation remains fluid as diplomatic discussions continue around Maduro's presidency and potential responses from the international community. Human rights groups, including Amnesty International, have urged governments worldwide to closely monitor the situation in Venezuela and ensure that human rights are upheld. This unfolding narrative highlights the ongoing tensions not only within Venezuela but also on a global scale, emphasizing the complex interplay of national politics and international diplomacy surrounding the Maduro administration. Nicolas Maduro pleads not guilty to charges in U.S. court. Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro faces conspiracy charges in the U.S., claiming he was kidnapped during a military operation. Indian embassy engages U.S. lobbying firm for trade and security talks. The Indian embassy in Washington has enlisted SHW partners to assist with trade negotiations and security discussions. U.S. President Donald Trump praises military operation in Venezuela. Donald Trump hails military actions in Venezuela, calling them tactically brilliant amid concerns for the country's human rights situation. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado details silence with Trump. Maria Corina Machado, a prominent figure in Venezuela's opposition, reveals she has not communicated with Donald Trump since October. Trump threatens higher tariffs on India over Russian oil purchases. U.S. President Donald Trump warns India of higher tariffs if it does not further reduce Russian oil imports, linking trade pressure to the Ukraine war.
So he's going all out. He's going for everybody. He's going for everybody, and boy, right now at present. So Trump says Venezuela will be turning over up to 50 million barrels of oil to the US. So it's quite critical now. It's getting critical, and he needs the oil quickly. He needs the oil fast.
Trump says Venezuela will be turning over up to 50 million barrels of oil to US. US President Donald Trump has said Venezuela will be turning over up to 50 million barrels of oil, worth about $2.8 billion, 2.1 billion pounds, to the US, after a military operation to remove President Nicolas Maduro from power. The oil will be sold at its market price, Trump posted on social media, adding he would control the money raised and use it to benefit the people of Venezuela and the US. His comments come after he said the US oil industry would be up and running in Venezuela within 18 months and that he expected huge investments to pour into the country. Analysts previously told the BBC it could take tens of billions of dollars, and potentially a decade, to restore Venezuela's former output. China, which has been the biggest buyer of Venezuelan oil in recent years, has condemned Trump's announcement as well as the US's reported demands that Venezuela gives its oil exclusively to them. ABC News has reported, citing unnamed sources, that Trump had told Rodriguez to agree to an exclusive partnership with the US on oil production, and sever economic ties with China, Russia, Iran and Cuba. Trump posted on Truth Social on Tuesday, "I am pleased to announce that the interim authorities in Venezuela will be turning over between 30 and 50 million barrels of high-quality, sanctioned oil, to the United States of America. This oil will be sold at its market price, and that money will be controlled by me, as President of the United States of America, to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States." His comment came a day after Delcy Rodriguez, formerly Venezuela's vice president, was sworn in as its interim president. Maduro has been brought to the U.S. to face trafficking and weapons charges. On Monday, the U.S. president told NBC News, "Having a Venezuela that's an oil producer is good for the United States because it keeps the price of oil down."
Which is what Ace explained already.
Representatives from major U.S. petroleum companies planned to meet the Trump administration this week, the BBC's U.S. partner CBS reported. Analysts who previously spoke to the BBC were skeptical that Trump's plans would have a major impact on the global supply, and therefore price, of oil. They suggested that firms would look for reassurance that a stable government was in place, and even when they did invest, their projects would not deliver for years. Trump has argued in recent days that American oil companies can fix Venezuela's oil infrastructure. The country has an estimated 303 billion barrels, the world's largest proven reserve, but its oil production has been in decline since the early 2000s. The Trump administration sees significant potential for its own energy prospects in Venezuela's reserves. Increasing the country's production of oil would be expensive for U.S. firms. Venezuelan oil is also heavy and more difficult to refine. There is only one U.S. firm, Chevron, currently operating in the country. Asked for comment about Trump's plans for U.S. oil production in Venezuela, Chevron spokesman Bill Tuerton said the company remains focused on the safety and well-being of our employees, as well as the integrity of our assets. We continue to operate in full compliance with all relevant laws and regulations, Tuerton added. ConocoPhillips, a major U.S. oil company that no longer has a presence in Venezuela, is monitoring developments in Venezuela and their potential implications for global energy supply and stability, said spokesman Dennis Nuss. It would be premature to speculate on any future business activities or investments, Nuss said. A third company, Exxon, did not immediately respond to requests for comment. On Wednesday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said that the U.S.'s blatant military action against Venezuela, and its demand that Venezuela prioritize the U.S. in disposing of its oil resources, is a typical act of bullying, a serious violation of international law, a severe infringement upon Venezuela's sovereignty, and a grave damage to the rights of the Venezuelan people. I want to emphasize that the legitimate rights and interests of China and other countries in Venezuela must be protected. Cooperation between China and Venezuela is the cooperation between two sovereign states, which is under protection of international law and the domestic laws of the two countries. While justifying the seizure of Maduro from Caracas, Trump also claimed that Venezuela unilaterally seized and stole American oil. Vice President J.D. Vance echoed those claims on X after Maduro was taken, writing that Venezuela expropriated American oil property and until recently used that stolen property to get rich and fund their narco-terrorist activities. The reality is more complex. U.S. oil companies have a long history in Venezuela, extracting oil under license agreements. Venezuela nationalized its oil industry in 1976 and in 2007, President Hugo Chavez exerted more state control over the remaining foreign-owned assets of U.S. oil firms operating in the country. In 2019, a World Bank tribunal ordered Venezuela to pay $8.7 billion to ConocoPhillips in compensation for this 2007 move. That sum has not been paid by Venezuela, so at least one U.S. oil company has outstanding compensation which is owed to it. But BBC Verify Spen Chu said the claim Venezuela has stolen American oil is too simplistic, as experts said the oil itself was never actually owned by anyone except Venezuela. Watch, BBC Verify examines claims Venezuela stole U.S. oil.
Boy. But yeah, I just thought I'd just update what's going on and looking a bit deeper into what's going on in Venezuela, plus get a couple people opinions from the ground. Particularly, there is others. I mean, but I'm gonna put them up in small videos of people from the ground, because sometimes it's best to hear from people on the ground what's going on. It's fine listening to the BBC and all everybody else. But obviously, that has something definitely happened to Maduro's wife. Why was her ribs bruised up? Why was her face bruised up? Like, you know, they like, fair enough, right? They brought him to what they think is justice, but like Trinidad Empowerment says, and I said many times, it's not going to stop anything. It's not going to stop what's going on. It's not going to stop trafficking. It's not going to stop drugs. It's not going to stop none of that. Because when you take down one, there's like 50 others ready to stand in his place. So though Trump think, okay, I got one up on this man, right? There's how many others, and then there's a decline in the country and all sorts of things happening. I didn't think there was a regime change really, because I wouldn't think it'll be so quickly, because he only just took it last week. So yes, and the promises is very frivolous, and all that. Obviously, right, he sees the benefit of the oil, and as I think I did the part where Ace explains how cheap the oil will be if the oil is brought to America, right? The prices will change, the prices will go down. And obviously the companies that's got to refine it, make it right so that it can be used as well. And China, definitely, the way they are voicing their opinion, because it's like you're taking away the rights of the people of Venezuela by that move what he made. And it is definitely impacting on Trinidad. It probably might impact on Trinidad in several ways, which I have put up, where like their visas will be taken, etc., because the Prime Minister Kamala has said that how if they don't comply to certain rules, if they talk against whatever's going on, their visas would be taken away. So, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on surrounding just this act that has happened, how it is going to affect the countries. It's going to affect the countries. Obviously, it's good that how they're able to do their tourism, they're able to do certain stuff and get money into the country. That is good, but it's just the person that's leading it is questionable. That's my thing. The person who's leading, who will say that how they're going to take over and take over Venezuela for that time, very questionable. But please tell me, because I've just put up a number of videos, and I said I'll do commentary, but I basically put numbers of videos in it. So you tell me what you think of these things and what's been said. If you have listened right to the end, thank you for listening to the end. And I'll see you in the comment section, and we will have a conversation, because it's always good. Even if you are in Venezuela, you can also put down what you think is, you can tell me what's going on as well. I would love to hear from the people of Venezuela. I love to hear from the people of Trinidad. I love to hear from the Venezuelans in the UK, America, all over. Tell me how you feel, because it's all well and good, right? People saying, oh, this is how they feel, they're happy. Some might not be happy, which the ladies have shown on some of the shorts. Some people are not happy, people is happy. Some people are saying the type of groups that are happy, who they are, and some are just happy for, I think, a piece of freedom. But obviously there's a price for everything. There's a price for everything. A person like Trump is Trump is not one of the, I wouldn't call, he's not a savior. He's not a savior by no means. And if people see him as a savior, well, that's for you, innit? But he's not the savior. He's really not. He's really not. He's going in for his own ends. Remember, at first, he's a businessman first. He's a businessman first, and then probably presidency after. And I do believe he is a dictator. I don't care what anybody says. He is a dictator. He and I'll repeat, he's willing to do whatever he's got to do to get what he wants. And he don't care what people think. He don't take into account what anybody thinks. And even though, like, they're saying that how he might have impinged, there's an impeachment on the rights of Nicolas Maduro and his wife. People have voiced this, but Trump's not going to listen to other people. He's going to do what he's going to do, because that's the type of person he is. He don't care. He really don't care. He don't care for nobody. So with that said, I'm going to leave it right there because I don't want to repeat myself as well, because I tend to repeat myself. And I will see you in the next one. I'm just going to keep watching this and see how it's going as well. And see whether they're going to release him or not release him or what. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, I could just watch because it's gonna obviously have an impact on Trinidad, and I myself would like to know how it's going to impact on them as well. So with that said, I will see you in the next one. Please leave a comment underneath the videos, underneath this video, underneath this live. You tell me what you're thinking, and I'll I'll agree, disagree, whatever, how it goes. And we'll talk in the comment section. With that said, I'll see you later. Bye.